Thank you for staying with us. We continue with one of our leading stories, getting reflections on the life of former Cabinet Minister Tito Mboweni, who died last night. Let's get some reaction right now from the ANC Youth League. Ziniko Mhlaba is at Luthuli House, the party's headquarters, to give us a sense of what's happening there. Ziniko, tributes have been continuing to pour in following news of the death of former Minister Tito Mboweni. What is the ANC Youth League saying at this time?
Good afternoon, Atlanta, and indeed we've been hearing some reactions from various sectors of society, especially when it comes to the labor sector, in terms of getting their tribute to the former labor minister. And of course, you know, he was also a finance minister, but he's one person who could relate to every age group in society, whether it's young people, it's women, or even business sector itself. So I think it's also very important now to get some reflections from the younger generation of the ANC itself, and that is why we are here at Luthuli House to speak to the ANC Youth League President Collen Malatji, who joins me now. Mr. Malatji, thank you very much, sir, for your time. Obviously, your generation is much younger to Tito Mboweni. You did not have, sufficient time to interact with him, whether it's in government or in political structures. But it's someone who we can all know in terms of his character, his experience, and contributions as the young generation of the ANC. What lessons can you take from who Tito Mboweni was as a public servant, but also as an ordinary South African?
Look, as an ordinary South African, what we can take from him is that even under difficult conditions, he still continued to study. When he went to exile in Lesotho, he continued to do his studies, and he became one of the first youngest people in a democratic South Africa in 1994 to be deployed as a Minister of Labour under a very respected President Nelson Mandela. And, it's a person that is also is a free soul. He speaks his mind. He speaks fearlessly when he believes in something, whether majority of us agree with him or not, but he will openly speak on what he believes in. And those are lessons we have learned from. But also, he has completed his term and retired on time. When many people are scared they stay forever. When the time was right for him to retire. But also he's retired without being charged or accused of any corrupt behavior. Even when he was in position of authority for many years, he's one of the first black governors of South Africa. He's a former Minister of Labour, former Minister of Finance. He had many roles in government, but he exists. He lives with dignity and with respect, without being charged or being forced to step aside because of corrupt behaviors or anything else, even when he was in a position of authority. Yeah,
talk to us about, within the ANC, is there space for characters like him? You mentioned the fact that he was credible until the very last end. He was never in the popular spaces or within the leadership of the ANC, but he was always there to serve the party. Is there space for such characters within the ANC currently, looking at his experience, his qualifications, but also history within the struggle movement?
Look, he played a good role from the back. Everyone thinks that a good leader must always be in the front, and he was very popular in the ANC. It is not true that he was not popular. He was very popular in the ANC, but he has never contested official positions. He has always known his role is to make sure he assists the ANC with his economic resolutions. He assists the ANC to govern and put proper systems in place in government, so that the ANC becomes one of the best ruling party in Africa, if not in the world. Yes, there are many characters who are like that in the ANC, which are groomed even now. If you can check our youth league structures now, look at our NEC of the youth league. It's full of young people who have went to school, who are ready to learn every day. Then in parliament, you can see they're contributing in committees. They're not just there because they're young, but they're qualified, they're experienced, and ready to learn. Now we believe that our generation, it is the generation that is inspired by the likes of Tito Mboweni. It's a generation that will renew the ANC. The renewal project, it's in progress. If you can see, we've put in the step-aside issues, the integrity commissions, but the real results, you will obviously receive them from our generation, because we will be a generation who have lived that process of the standard that has been increased of the African National Congress of people who must lead the country.
I mean, you represent the youth league of the ANC, the younger generation of the party. Tito Mboweni, stepped away from the public service at a very young age. If you look at the current leadership of those who are in cabinet, but in the ANC, how important is that, looking at who we have right now in terms of the age group within the ANC politically, but also in government? How would you then advise the general membership of the ANC to really take some lessons from him?
You know, when he left, we were one of those who were excited, not because he has left. We're excited because he has listened to our call of the Youth League when we said open space for the young generation to learn. But the Titos became cabinet ministers as below 40 years, and by the time they go to the 65, they're way experienced. Now, you'll never learn anything if you're not practically exposed, and that's been our principle. Now, that's why we've demanded that 50% of cabinet must be young people. We've demanded that 50% of MPs must be young people, legislature, CEOs, so they're exposed to run this country. You can't say we're the future, but you're not part of the decision making of the country. Now, we're saying that many people, as they get inspired by Tito Mboweni, they must follow. You know, they must follow. You don't have to push them. They must be the ones that says that who are resigning will mentor and train the younger ones, because we need their wisdom and experience. Now, you can't always be in office. You must live and mentor from behind. Give the youth to lead their country moving forward.
Thank you very much, Malatji.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that's Collen Malatji, the ANC Youth League President Malatji, giving us, some of the reflections from his generation as the Youth League, saying that, well, there are some lessons all generations of the ANC can learn from the late Tito Mboweni. It's back to you, Tito, for now.